Business on Main Street with your host, Russell. Each week, Russell takes an in-depth look at another exciting business. To get in on the discussion, call toll-free 888-565-1470. Now, let's talk business. Your business. With today's guest, here's Russell.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for being on this, the fourth program that we've been doing for this month, and really appreciate you being here. This is the Health and Wealth Network, 1470 AM, 95.3 FM. And what we have been doing, the new business on Main Street is what we call the program, because what we want to do, or attempting to do, is to present to you some ideas, strategies, and skills of how you can work from home and earn significant income. Some people making 6 figures a year, 7 figures a year. It's all possible, especially in network marketing. And we want to really open the lines and let you know that it is possible to do all kinds of things from your own home without having a job. Nothing wrong with that. I've had many of those. But this is an alternative income producing mechanism, and so we want to bring you to the table, or bring to you the people who are involved in their own home businesses and who understand home businesses, or traditional business too. I think we have Lisa Dworskin with us. She was with the station some 4, 5, 6 months ago and did a magnificent job. But I wanted to bring her back because she had started with a traditional business and had done extremely well. And I wanted to talk about how she got it off the ground, how she got it financed, and what drove her to even start that business. Lisa, are you with us?
Hi, Russ. I'm here. How are you?
How you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's a pleasure. I guess the whole world knows who you are. You've been on this station and other stations in South Florida.
They're about to really know who I am.
Oh, yeah, why? Why are you saying that? Well, wait a minute. Before you give us the good news about you expanding all across the world, for the people who don't know you, Lisa, just tell them who you are and send them to your Facebook page, send them to your page, that Lisa Dworskin, your fitness page. So let's talk about that a wee bit. Then I want to talk about how you got started in a traditional business and how well you did, and what prompted you to get into a traditional business at that time.
Okay, so my website is lisadworskin.com, and that's LISADWOSKIN.com. Or you can find me on Facebook at Body by Lisa, or Lisa Dworskin on Facebook. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all under my name, Lisa Dworskin. I also just started writing for a beautiful magazine called Masters of Health, which goes out to about 20 million people globally on the internet.
Wow.
And I have a beautiful 3-page spread in there on everything about mind, body, spirit, health, and wellness, and everything you're talking about, Russ, health and wealth, and just being grateful for life and being healthy, longevity of life. So I started as an aerobic instructor, and then I had a dream of opening a business, and I wanted to have a place where people can go and heal their mind, body, and spirit, not just work out physically to look good on the outside, but to also feel good on the inside. And I know we're going to talk about the business a little bit, but from the business, I ended up writing and publishing a book called Metamorphosize, which was the same name as my business. And the book has helped many, many people. I'm so excited about it. And then I'm on my 3rd book now about soulmates and love and twin flames. And I'm also writing a book on fitness, kind of like a fitness for dummies type book. That'll be on Amazon, and just a lot of things going on. I think that the main point I want to get across to everybody is when you have a dream and you have a vision, you need to manifest that vision and that dream into reality. And I know we're going to talk about self-love and self-worth, self-esteem, and just really believing in yourself to achieve your goals and your dreams. And I know that on your show, we talk so much about many mentors that we read about, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Napoleon Hill, all these people who have written so many beautiful books to really change your mindset. Because when you can change your mindset and you live in that positive mindset of believing in yourself, all your dreams could come into reality in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
And that's what I've done.
Yeah, that's some of what you have done, and you're getting ready to do much more. But just take a minute and tell folks when you had your gym. I think you had 2,000 customers, and you had 85 employees, and you ran that for about, 15 years, almost 13 years, whatever it is, taking in a tune of, $1.6 million a year. How, number one, why did you start that business? And, okay, that's first. Go ahead. Why did you start that business? And what prompted you to start your own gym, having 2,000 customers, if you will, and 85 employees? That was a big job to do that.
Big. Well, my father's a huge businessman, and I've been working for him since I was probably 7 years old. Most going to camp, and I was learning from a master businessman. And so I always knew that I wanted to work for myself and not have to work for somebody else. And I wanted to create something to help people. So when I was into the fitness world, I just thought one day I wanted to open my own gym. And so I thought I would open a small place, maybe 2,000, 3,000 square feet, maybe like a fitness personal training studio. Well, there happened to be this 17,000 square foot facility that a football player, he was opening it up, and then John Bosa back in 1999, he backed out of it, and I was working at his gym in Weston, and I thought, let's go look at it. So long story short, it was much bigger and much more magnitude than I had anticipated, and I just wanted a gym. It ended up being a spa, a salon, and a health club all in one because of the zoning of where it was in Grand Palms. It was a golf course and a country club. So anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, I had no doubt, I don't care if it was 1,000 square feet or 100,000 square feet, I knew that I had something special within me, a business sense, but I also had a dream. And I think a very important thing for our listeners to really grasp this concept is to let go of fear, because fear could debilitate your entire life in every aspect of your life. And when you could go about life without having fear and kind of fake it till you make it, you know the saying that you, even if you're not an expert in a field, of course, personal training, you have to get certifications. And I also went to college and studied exercise physiology and psychology. So I had a background, but I never in my life dreamed that I would be running a business that was a spa, a salon, and a health club with, like you said, 2,000 members, about 90 employees. But you know what, Russ, I never doubted myself, and I just went in there knowing that I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to create a beautiful business that will help people heal. And I think when you give back to people and you do good for others, it comes back to you tenfold. So that's pretty much what happened. It was a beautiful experience.
No, that was an excellent experience. And then you were doing a grand total of $1.6 million a year in income in that facility. So you did great. And it lasted, about 13 years until 07, 08, 09 came along.
Yeah, then I ended up getting a couple of partners, and I slowly weaned myself out of it. It's still actually operating.
Okay.
It's still same location with a different owner.
Okay. So what else is new on the table? We are talking about you continuing. You were on this station some 8 months ago, or last year this time. And then you went up to West Palm Beach, and you were on that station for a while. And both of those were great experiences. Is that right?
Yes, for sure, definitely.
Right.
And I'm sure Freddie's there working with you, so I highly recommend him as a good producer and to get on his radio shows here in Boca and in iHeart Radio. But anyway, yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it. And actually, Russ, you were my mentor. You still are. You're the one who pushed me to do everything, and I thank you for it. And before we talk about more stuff going on with me now, I just want to make a point, because I know it's what you talk about a lot. I did love my business, but really the whole entity was too enormous, and I lived for work, and I really couldn't have a life because I was working 80 hours a week. So yes, it was a beautiful undertaking, but it was too much. And now learning what I've learned from you about multi-level marketing companies and Rain International, and just working for yourself out of home is much more flexible, and you don't have this enormous overhead, and you don't have to cover a certain amount every month and be like strapped, to be able to get through running a business of that magnitude. Mm-hmm. So I love what you're talking about, working out of home, because now I'm a freelance life coach, personal trainer, and I could work as many hours or as few hours as I want and earn a good living by doing mass distribution also of products, of candles, aromatherapy oils, everything that coincides with what I do. And I think that's an important topic that you talk about to educate people.
Absolutely, no question about that. Well, I want to talk, too, about, I think we have about another minute before we take a break, and I'll take a break here. So on the back side of the break, I want you to talk about what is your next ventures. I mean, what I've been hearing lately is kind of ubiquitous. It's all over the place, but yet it's focused in terms of where you want to go and how you want to accomplish things. So, let me do this. Let me take a break here, and then I'll be back in just a moment, and we will talk about the things that you are planning, and there may be some individuals who are listening who may want to join you and participate with some of the grandiose kind of programs that you are putting together. But first, I was watching the television the other day. I do it every once in a while, especially when biographies or his history channels. And I was watching the motion picture The Founder, where Ray Kroc discovered, he didn't invent it, but he discovered the McDonald brothers, and he decided to expand it all across the world. So anybody who hasn't seen that motion picture should watch it. The Founder, like he founded, he discovered it, and he took it from there, and the rest is history in terms of how he accomplished that task. So I just wanted to get that out. But he had a poem in there that was relevant to today's discussion, and it says this, and he used to listen to it when he was on the road at the hotels or the motels where he stopped, and it says, "Nothing can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than the unsuccessful man with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Only persistence and focus and dedication alone are omnipotent. The problems of humanity have always been solved and will continue to be solved by those individuals who are persistent and who are dedicated to achieving their goals and objectives." I'll be back in a moment.
Welcome to the New Business on Main Street, www.newbusinessonmainstreet.com. Networking has come of age, and many of our solid, stable, and financially free networking companies are now on the Dow and the NASDAQ. Many of the stocks of these premier companies have had serious gains in the past few years. Warren Buffett said, "Investing in networking has been the best investment I have ever made." Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, says rich people build networks, poor people look for jobs. Donald Trump has made millions of dollars from networking. Paul Zane Pilzer, an economic advisor, and Malcolm Gladwell, author of the book The Tipping Point, says billions of dollars will be transferred to networkers over the next 10 years. Malcolm Gladwell says future generations will become very wealthy using word-of-mouth advertising. He says 67% of all goods and services are purchased by recommendations and referrals. Your economic future is in the hands of word-of-mouth advertising. It is the new way of doing business on Main Street and Wall Street. You can join us in acquiring economic freedom and security coupled with time freedom. Go to newbusinessonmainstreet.com. That's www.newbusinessonmainstreet.com. You're listening to today's edition of New Business on Main Street. To join the show, call in toll-free 888-565-1470. Now, back to the business at hand. Here's Russell.
Hey, thank you for joining us on this nice evening, Wednesday. And we're here at the Health and Wealth station of Boca Raton here in South Florida. That's 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. So we cover a lot of territory. Lisa, I'll be back in just a moment. We have Gary. Gary, are you with us?
Yes. Hi, Russ. How are you?
Hey, Gary. How you doing? This is Gary Bauer. And that Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R, like Bear Aspen, right?
And Cary, like Cary Grant.
I like Cary Grant. And he looks like Cary Grant, by the way.
Oh, you're so kind.
Yeah, great person. Hey, listen, I met him last week. He was at the Unitarian Universal Church Fellowship, if you will, Boca Raton, and he was doing some education for us and helping us to understand. Cary, talk about your background. You've written some books. You travel all over the country teaching and training us, and here in Boca Raton and also in New York City. Let's talk about some of the things that you're doing.
Sure. Well, it's pretty obvious that there's so much more human potential available to us. That human potential is the greatest untapped resource in the world, and obviously, the more of that we tap, the more we become what we're truly intended to be. Psychologists say we use maybe a tenth of our potential. So if you realize that 90% of who we are is not being tapped, that needs to be tapped. And since the age of about 20, that's really been much of my work has been focused on that. First as a meditation teacher, which I continue to do, and in the last 16 years as a life coach, helping to enable people to create the kind of breakthroughs that they're really here to live.
Excellent. So you've written several books. Let's talk about those books briefly.
Sure. I've written a dozen books. The most recent is called A Course in Money Miracles, and you're probably familiar with A Course in Miracles, I assume, yeah. And so this really focuses on money, and I have a book called 40 Days to a Happy Life, which is really a day-by-day, literally of 40 chapters, whereby each day the reader is invited to expand who they are through inner exercises as well as some outer activities, all of which are designed to do two things. One, give them more joy in their lives, and also expand the capacity to derive more joy from anything that they do.
The courses that you have been teaching, the one at the fellowship just last weekend, and the one I think you were doing the same course up in New York City. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Yeah, well, I have a class. Are you talking about the one I taught the other day? It was it was a spiritual and political class. Is that the one you're referring to?
The politics of it all.
Yeah, it's called Love Trumps Hate. Tools for spiritual and political empowerment.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to give Trump a break right now, but anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. For example, I'm teaching a class on Friday night in Hollywood at a place called the Serenity Room, and the class is called The Good Life and the God Life.
Oh, wow. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, how to be spiritually abundant and materially, how to be spiritually awakened and materially abundant. The reason behind that class really is that so many folks, especially I've come across so many folks in the spiritual community who are interested in awakening their inner life, but often pay little attention to their material life. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, you've got folks up in Wall Street, for example, who are 100% devoted to material affluence, but often they pay a price in terms of their own health and peace of mind. So the idea behind this class really is to integrate the two so that a person awakens their own spiritual greatness and at the same time draws more and more magnetically to them from the standpoint of material things. Mm-hmm. The previous guest was talking about Napoleon Hill, for example, earlier, and of course Napoleon Hill wrote the fabulous book Think and Grow Rich, and others, but really focusing on how our own consciousness and our own desire, our own persistence, our own energy can draw more and more to us.
Mm-hmm. Lisa, are you with us? Has Lisa gone? Yeah.
No, I'm here, Russ, but I can barely hear him. I heard a little bit about energy and raising the conscious awareness, which is, I wish I could hear him better, but I love all of that because that's everything that I talk about as well. That's everything life is all about, energy.
Okay, so it's very difficult for you to hear what he has to say. Is that right? Is that what I hear?
Yeah, I could barely hear him.
Okay.
Oh, I'm surprised. Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. But that's right. It's one of those things. Listen, Lisa, why don't you take a minute, and then I can take Gary for the rest of the program. Take a minute to tell us what you're now planning. Some big things coming down the pike. Let's talk about that for a minute, and then I'll get back to Gary.
Okay, well, what Gary was just saying is exactly what I'm planning is instead of promoting myself and talking about me, what I'm really here to do on your show is to let people hear about how they can live a healthier, happier, and more balanced life. So what I think is so important is raising the conscious awareness, what I did here, and the energy. And my film director and I were producing 3 or 4 documentary films on exactly that, on people living in the moment of here and now, not worrying about yesterday or tomorrow, but being in the moment of just being, and also of loving themselves, of being what you said before the commercial break, being persistent, driven. In order to accomplish anything in your life, you have to be persistent, be driven, but you also have to live from passion and do something that you love to do and be happy doing it. And then it doesn't seem like a job, and then your life will be filled with doing the things that you love. And not only are you helping yourself, but of course you're helping humanity, helping others. So what we have going on, we're working on a very important documentary about sound vibrations and how it heals people on their inner soul, and especially with drug addicts and with alcoholism. We're actually working with Steven Tyler from Aerosmith in the future with the unplugged version of this because of his drug use and people he's worked with, how the music and sound vibration can actually heal you. So we're having an event, and I'll come on again and talk about the event in June with a man named Dr. Lenny Horowitz, and he talks all about sound vibration and just really about healing. So that's where I'm going with everything I'm doing. I'm working with quite a few business people who are investing in me to promote my brand of spreading this message of mind, body, spirit, and healing and being grateful for life and self-love and self-worth and just really living a life filled with gratitude and enjoying life while you're here on earth, not waiting until you're up in heaven to then live your life. So I think it's definitely many great things going on. I'm still doing my TV show with Lawrence Taylor, and I believe Tyler Perry's production company is getting involved. That's all about healing athletes who have done wrong in their life and how they've turned their life around. We're going to be interviewing a couple of big, Michael Vick and Camden Newton. Just a lot of great things going on. Just the message is do good, be happy, live in the moment, and be grateful that you're alive. Wake up every day, jump out of bed, be persistent, and fill your mind with positivity because you'll have a much healthier and happier lifestyle.
All right.
So that's about all I have to say to you guys.
Oh, okay. Well, give us a way to contact you. Carrie may be interested in talking with you, maybe being part of what you're putting together for television and for radio.
Okay, no, for sure. You can reach me at lisadwostin.com, or you can contact me on Facebook, which is Body by Lisa. or Twitter, Instagram, any of the social media. Plus, also, I have a phone number. Anyone could contact me. I'm a life coach, a nutritionalist, personal trainer. 571-354-7215. And we welcome anyone who is into healing and anything to do with raising the conscious awareness and what Carrie's talking about. So definitely, anyone interested in contacting us, we have many documentary films going on, and we're working with so many different groups of people. And the bigger we are as a team, the better we could spread this message
Absolutely.
to the world and make a difference.
Okay, Lisa, thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. And then you'll come back with us maybe a couple weeks from now and bring us up to speed where you are at that time. Okay? Well, she's gone. She's gone. Okay, great. Carrie, are you with us? Carrie?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, much of what she's doing and much of what you have done in your 12 books that you've written and all the classes that you have taught kind of mesh. Is that right? Is that what I hear?
Absolutely. I mean, there's one message, really. The message, I mean, Lisa said it beautifully. The message is that what we have come to accept as human being is a very, very small percentage of what we're capable of. And when we start to tap more and more of our inner potential, we begin to, as Lisa was saying very beautifully and eloquently, we start to live out of a sense of being present, a sense of being much more engaged in all of life's possibilities, coming more from self-love. She mentioned self-worth. I like to say that self-worth is the basis of net worth. And as we grow in a sense of love of ourself and a sense of self-worth, the ability to increase our income grows as well. So all of this is what's possible for us when we begin to, when we begin to tap into our true nature. She mentioned vibration. And, since the age of 20, I've been teaching meditation. I've seen firsthand with many, many hundreds of people who I've taught meditation to, the power of vibration is enormous. She's talking about music and vibration. I'm talking about mantra and vibration. But vibration is very, very transformational. And so everything she was saying, I would echo.
Well, that's great. For the individuals who want to, because you do private training and teaching and coaching, is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes.
So is there a telephone number? And also is there a website? Go right here.
There's both. My website is very simple. It's CarrieBayer.com. That's my name, CarrieBayer.com. And I can also be reached by phone on my cell, which is at 845-664-1883.
Okay, great. I'm going for a break right now. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm going to ask you a couple of other questions. Is that right?
Be a pleasure.
Okay. His number again is, I think I wrote that down, is 845-664-1883. I think is that right?
Yes, it is.
845-664-1883. Taking a break. Be right back here in a minute.
You don't need anyone to tell you that times are tough. You have probably been searching for that elusive, guaranteed, secure job with all those wonderful benefits. Well, those jobs are gone. Downsized, outsourced, capsized, and eliminated by technology. It's a new day. We have to adopt new ways of earning a serious income. So, if you are positive, bright, friendly, ambitious, and have vision, we can help you. We have an international marketing company expanding in your area, and we are seeking someone with experience in teaching, public speaking, or who has owned or operated a business. For further information, go to www.newbusinessonmainstreet.com. If you are self-confident and you have strong self-image, self-esteem, we can help you. Go to newbusinessonmainstreet.com if you are willing to take risk and you are willing to educate yourself. Then the income for your future is unlimited. Call 561-302-2588. It's the New Business on Main Street. You're listening to today's edition of New Business on Main Street. To join the show, call in toll-free 888-565-1470. Now, back to the business.
About that.
The reason it's the simplest is because it grows out of who you are. When Lisa said beautifully before, when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like, as you call it, a job. I haven't had a job since 1984, and when you truly love what you do, you're doing what we might call God's work. The reason you're here, using the gifts that you've been given, the talents that you have, and so that becomes the easiest thing. Now, I also said it's the hardest thing, and it's the hardest thing only because it means breaking out of that mindset that so many millions of people have, which is that the best thing to do to support yourself and your family is to have a job. When in fact, I really believe the best thing you can do to support yourself and your family is to do the work that you love.
Wow. How does one get to that point then? You haven't had a job or a job, if you will, or punched the time clock since 1985 or 4, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. That's a long, long, long time ago. Now, and so you're not homeless. You're doing very well, but you have a family, a wife, and children, and they're in school, and you traveling. Not only here, you spend some time in Florida, and you spend time in New York City. Is that right?
Actually, New York State, in the mountains of New York State, in a little town without a traffic light that everyone heard of called Woodstock.
Oh, Woodstock. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how does one get in a position to live the lifestyle you're living? How do you do that and be independent of a job? How do you do that?
Well, first of all, in the late 90s, I was down visiting a client in Florida, and I decided, talking to my wife, it was snowing up in Woodstock, and it was 75 beautiful degrees in December in Florida, and I said, that's it, no more winters for us. And so we started, so the vision was there, and I think that's really important, to have a vision. And the vision was to live on the ocean and to live in the mountains. And that vision we have manifested for, decades now. But having the vision and then having the passion and the persistence to keep working until that vision manifests. Now, once it manifests, then continue to do what you love and, build around that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, you've written 12 books. What was that?
Yes.
12 books? Okay. So, a person to get a copy of your book, Amazon, how would they do that?
Just go right to my website. There's a shopping cart right on my website, GaryBayer.com. It's very easy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also have written, as you know, about procrastination, because I find that is one of the most insidious things that are holding people back in all areas of their life. I teach a workshop on procrastination. I've written a book on it. It's called both the book and the workshop are called How to Overcome Procrastination Now, because that is one of the great deterrents in life. People want something, but they hold themselves back through procrastination, and it's really hard to get support from the universe when you procrastinate. And so much more support comes from invisible sources when you really start moving decisively into whatever it is that you truly want in life.
But most people have some degree of procrastination in their lives. Is that right?
Well, I think there's a certain amount that sometimes life is we're inundated with so many things to do that sometimes certain things get delayed to some extent. But what I'm talking about is not really that as much as just that general pattern of holding back and delaying.
Okay, and that's true. If you will, how can you teach the average person to get over that animal of procrastination? How can you do that?
Well, what I do is I encourage a person to focus on one thing that they would like to stop procrastinating. I find when you can master one, then you can master two or more, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. And so I prescribe a 7-day playful program, and play is key here, in which a person gets a reward, a playful reward, something that would make them really happy, within 7 days if they can begin to overcome that procrastination. And I usually ask people to break it up into small, bite-sized pieces. For example, there are people who have boxes and boxes and boxes of things in their homes that they haven't opened in weeks, months, or even years. They're not going to get all that handled overnight. And, you know, Aesop wrote a fabulous fable called The Tortoise and the Hare, in which the fast-running fast-running hare gets off to a huge start, huge lead, and then takes a nap because, you know, he's running against a tortoise, which moves very slowly. In the meantime, while the hare sleeps, the tortoise keeps going step by step by step and wins the race. Procrastination is one in a similar manner. So I suggest to people, take those boxes, instead of trying to do 3-4 hours at a time, break it up. Do about 40-45 minutes every other day. Do that for a week and give yourself a reward. If you do that, you begin to develop momentum, and you develop pleasure at the same time because you're rewarding yourself. And so the thing that you've been thinking of as like that animal, that thing you never want to get to, those huge boxes, is now associated with pleasure because each step of progress becomes closer and closer to getting that reward of pleasure.
There's a book that I've recently, and a CD I was listening to coming down the road just a few minutes ago. It's called The 5-Second Rule. I don't know whether you've heard of it or...
Yeah, we talked about that the other day, yeah.
Right. And for those individuals who have been procrastinating, I tell you, what is the name of your book, the one on...
Mine is called How to Overcome Procrastination Now.
Okay, and then they can go to your website and order that, right?
GaryBear.com, yes.
Yeah, and I would also recommend The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. It's just, in my opinion, it's one of the good books out there to stop procrastination, if you will.
Yes.
And then you were talking about have you read the book The One Thing? Have you ever...
I have not. No, okay. I have not.
Okay, that's a good book. It focuses on getting a job done and making sure you become not only good but better, or maybe even the best in your field by just concentrating on the one thing. So let's. What else would you help us do in terms of becoming a better person?
Well, I really think enthusiasm is vital to life. Lisa had mentioned passion. I completely agree with her. Napoleon Hill talked about that a lot. But in studying the most successful people in the world, he found that enthusiasm was basic to all of them. It's really hard to be successful without it. Because it comes from the Greek word entheos, which means God lively within you. We have the word theo, as in theology, which is the study of God. Theo means God. So entheos, or enthusiasm, means that inner spark of the divine lively in you. So I teach people some tools to help awaken enthusiasm so that what they do is whatever it is that they do, especially when they do what they love, it becomes more attractive to people because people are drawn to people with enthusiasm.
Yeah, they focus on the energy of the other person. So we are all energy, and so if you have an energy that's positive and upbeat, then people will resonate with you in terms of identifying with a new kind of serious energy. So when you find people who are negative, they decry this and complain about this and always negative. The weather's bad. This is wrong. That's wrong. What do you do with those kind of people?
Well, of course,
if anything at all.
They have to, obviously, they have to be interested. As the old saying goes, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So, obviously there has to be a desire for growth and change. If a person loves to complain, they may not hear you.
Okay.
And you just have to realize that, of course. As a life coach, I come across a lot of people, some of whom are just, deeply enmeshed in their patterns and not interested in changing. But for those who are, fantastic. Then there's there's so much that can be done in terms of transforming thought patterns. That's something that I do. I work with people through affirmation to transform thought patterns. And then, of course, awakening enthusiasm. It's very hard to stay negative when enthusiasm is growing from within because it bubbles out.
Yeah, they say you can't have two kind of emotions at once. You can't be negative and can't be positive at the same time. So if you stay positive as much as you can, do you help people to do affirmations? Do you recommend visualizations? What do you recommend?
Well, visualizations are good.
Yeah.
They are, but not everybody is visual. So I find that we use words a lot in our world, and so I focus more on affirmation than visualization. But the way I use affirmation is I think, goes deeper than the way affirmation is typically used, which is to either think, read, speak, listen, or hear. Well, I guess listen and hear, yeah, it's the same thing. A positive message repeatedly. Mm-hmm. We need repetition because we learn everything through repetition. But instead of just taking a positive thought, like, let's say it's innocent to prosper, or, you know, I can do the work I love and prosper, for example, instead of just repeating that over and over again, my system employs 3 steps. The first step is the affirmation. The second step is also very important, because what the second step involves is the releasing of negative thoughts that disagree with the affirmation. Because the truth is, if there were no negative thoughts to disagree with the affirmation, you'd already be living the truth of the affirmation. So, for example, if the thought is, you know, I can do the work I love and prosper, a negative thought might be something like, yeah, but what if people don't respond to what I love, for example? Mm-hmm. So you write that down. In other words, you kind of release that by writing it. You release that from your being by writing it on a piece of paper or on your computer, on your phone. And then the third step involves taking a new positive message to transform the limiting message that just showed up. So, for example, what if people don't respond to what I love? A way to transform that limiting message could be something like, the more enthusiasm I have for what I love, the more it inspires others.
Okay, I hear.
So the idea is to come up with a new affirmation that does 2 things. Number 1, makes you feel really good, and number 2 is one that your lower self can agree to as well. Because if you try to just sort of snow yourself, it's not going to be as effective. Mm-hmm. The lower self needs to come to terms and accept it as well.
Okay, all right. Well, we're kind of coming up on another break, and I'll come back in a moment. I got a poem on attitude, and I guess you've heard that time and time again, but I'd like to just read this for those individuals who have heard it at one point, or those who have never heard it. I think it's something to pay attention to. Here it says this way. He said, the longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failure or successes, than what other people think, do, or say. It is more important than appearances and more important than skill. It will make or break a country, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude that we will embrace for the day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play upon the one string that we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I respond to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes.
Like you and millions of Americans, I grew up believing that if you worked hard and got a good education and played by the rules, you could find a secure job and take care of your family. But for too many hardworking people, that's not the way things are today. The good jobs for us and our children are not there anymore. 54% of our college graduates are either unemployed or underemployed, and many of them are now going back home to live with a family because they cannot meet their obligations living alone. Student loans have now topped $1.1 trillion with no hope of ever being repaid. The average American has no savings at all. The unofficial number for unemployment is more than 20%. We have a problem. There must be a better way. Go to New Business on Main Street. See that there is a better way. Join us with a better way. Go to newbusinessonmainstreet.com or call 561-302-2588. That's 561-302-2588. You're listening to today's edition of New Business on Main Street. To join the show, call in toll-free 888-565-1470. Now, back to the business at hand. Here's Russell.
Well, thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. And we have Cary, like in Cary Grant, and Bayer, B-A-Y-E-R, like Bayer Aspirin, for those people who remember Bayer Aspirin. But Bayer Aspirin is still around, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, it's interesting you mention that, because sometimes people, one of the things I've noticed as a life coach is that because of the proliferation of prescription drugs out there in the world, people are often looking for some kind of quick fix. To drop a pill, to drop something that can change them. And what I've discovered is that, well, not that I've discovered it, but I've seen over and over again, is that life or change requires attention. It doesn't, you need to be active, not passive about it. You have to be proactive. And as you and Lisa talked about earlier, persistent, because the universe supports us when we show our drive and our desire and our persistence.
So you depend on the energy of the universe to get the job done.
Well, I would say that the energy, when I work with a client, it's really the proactivity of the client, my support, and the support of the universe. I
see. So how do we tap into the energy of the universe? How would you, I mean, you've been a self-reliant, independent person economically for the past 30 years or more. But many people would love to be in that position. How do you help people to get in a position like that? They have that kind of financial independence and safety and freedom.
It's a great question. Yeah, the truth of the matter is the universe is there to support us. But most of the time, and this has a lot of this has to do with our childhood training. You know, as children, we've been taught a lot of very limiting messages, unfortunately. And so people have come to think that they need to rely on a job. And that limiting idea blocks so many people from bringing into the world their passion, their talents, their gifts. So what I'm saying is that when a person allows the gifts that the universe or God has given them to be brought into the world and passionately present that and persistently market that, the universe is there to support that.
So 12 books so far. Are you planning on writing any others as you see things?
In fact, I just wrote one during the last break. Not just kidding.
You did? Okay.
Just kidding.
I believe you too.
No, I love to write, and so I have a book coming out shortly, sometime this summer, called Higher Self Meditations, and it'll be about 250 pages. It really reflects all these years that I've been teaching meditation, all the ways in which meditation can enhance life.
Right.
I have another book coming out probably in the fall called Breakthrough Coaching, and it represents a culmination of about 16 or 17 years of coaching that I've been doing full-time as well.
So you can teach a person who, say, they want to be a coach like you, a life coach, and you can teach them how to do that?
Yeah, I do. I have a training program. It's a program that I like to do it one-on-one.
Okay.
Rather than just giving people, having them sit in a class with others. I like to teach them one-on-one, because what I do find is, as a result of that, I'm able to help see the places where they might get stuck and can quickly adjust that so that they don't have to run into those sort of problems. Yes.
Can you do it like a webinar? Can you do it online? Can you do it on the telephone?
I do it mostly over the telephone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless the person or small group happens to be local, in which case we could do it in person.
Okay. And so all they have to do is call you at 845-664-1883.
Yes, that's right.
Right. Or go to your website, Cary, CaryBayer.com, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. All right. Listen, you've been around a minute or two in the past 35 years as an independent entrepreneur, so to speak, coach, life coach. Do you see that field is growing? We have the many people who are baby boomers who were born between 46 and 64. And that's 76 million of them, by the way, and many of whom need guidance, direction, and some additional income. So it's possible that you can take some of those people who are retiring these days to have another career.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I always say to people, I have a class called Spirit and Money, Prospering by Doing What You Love, and it's really designed to help a person in the class locate something that's, I don't want to say dying to be expressed, but living to be expressed through them. Something that the universe has given them, talents and gifts, passions that, as I said earlier, when brought methodically into the world and passionately into the world and persistently marketed and sold, can give a person either a replacement for their job or a second income. So for those, as you mentioned, who are retiring, this is a perfect way. They don't feel the financial pressure that they might feel if they were to give up their jobs. So it's a perfect thing for those folks, absolutely.
Okay. And you see the field growing. I mean, the last 35 years you've been associated with since 1985. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah, it is growing because I think people are realizing that, it used to be, I would say 30 years ago, the idea was that, you had that old cradle-to-grave mentality. You got a job and you worked it till you retired. I think we've seen very, very loud and clear that that's not the case anymore. That sense of loyalty from both ends has changed. And so, the employee now is, in a sense, a free agent, can, work the marketplace to his advantage. And likewise, employers no longer feel that same loyalty to employees. So I think more and more people, especially with the recent recession that we went through a few years back, a lot of folks realized that, that job wasn't secure anymore. And it gave many of those people the opportunity, being unemployed that is, the opportunity to say, well, okay, if I don't have a job, maybe I can create a business. Maybe there's something in me, rather than, instead of looking outside of me to try to fit into some square, this round hole into a round peg into a square hole. Instead of trying to do that, why not see what I have in me, and maybe I can bring that into the world and give the world what I'd love to give to the world, whether it's my creativity or my engineering skills or my whatever it happens to be.
So basically, you could have. Do you believe that all of us were born with a purpose?
I do. Yes.
You do. Now, how does one find his purpose or her purpose? How can you?
The quickest way is to see what gets you up in the morning. The quickest way is to see what turns you on. The quickest way is to see what you love. And when you see what you love, and you can take what you love and turn that into a service or a product for others, you're on your way. Because that's, it's like that old Debbie Fields used to like to bake cookies. She was good at baking cookies. And people would say, hey, Debbie, these cookies are great. Why don't you bring them around? And, Mrs. Fields became a gigantic business. Why? Because she loved baking cookies. Now, everybody has some talent or more. Too often, that talent, that passion, is relegated to a Saturday afternoon hobby, which is fine, but if you can turn your hobby and take your hobby and say, let me methodically take this passion of mine and bring it into the world and market it smartly and persistently, you have an opportunity to have a business. But too many people say, oh, God, the last thing I want to do is take what I love and get paid for it, because then it becomes a job. No, that's such a wrong way of thinking, in my opinion, because a job has a negative connotation, and when you're doing what you love, there's no negative thing about it.
Wow. You are doing a course this week? Tomorrow?
Yeah, in fact,
where is
Friday night I'm teaching that class I mentioned earlier. It's called The Good Life and the God Life, How to Be Spiritually Awakened and Materially Abundant. It'll be at a place called the Serenity Room, which is in Hollywood. It's Friday night from 7:30 to 10.
So they would call you to be a
Well, they could
participant?
actually just call. They could call the Serenity Room at 954-830-7577.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. It's a very powerful class because, I really think, when you ask people what's most important in their lives, spirituality is there, money is there, obviously love is too, but here, when you bring love to to your financial part of your life, that's really exciting.
Oh, this is exciting.
Yeah.
It's more than a pleasure for me to have had you on the program, and I think that many people who are listening certainly have been rewarded today by the information that you have shared with us, and I really appreciate it, Gary, for you being here. Again, your website is Gary, C-A-R-Y, Cary, like Cary Grant, right? And Bayer, like Bear Aspen, B-A-Y-E-R. Most people know how to spell that. and your telephone number
.com, yeah.
is .com, and your telephone number is 895.
No. 845.
Oh, 845. Sorry, I can't even read my writing. But anyway, 845-664-1883.
You got that right, Russ.
Cary, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you a million times for being on the program.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, sir, and I'll be talking to you soon, and the best of luck to you in everything you do in the rest of this lifetime.
God bless you.
Yes, sir. God bless you, too.
All right.
Hey, it's been fun here. Next time, next week, same time, same place, right here on 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, the Health and Wealth Station of Florida.
Men and women are wanted for a new business on Main Street. The requirements are you must be self-directed, persistent, and have the willingness to succeed. If, after your difficult work, you succeed, a lifetime annual six-figure income is available. If interested, go to www.newbusinessonmainstreet.com. If you are despondent, broke, and not satisfied with life, then change your life. Go to newbusinessonmainstreet.com. If you are not happy, then change